Here's where you have to take notes. Get your pen and your paper or your notepad and start documenting information, because we're going to be talking about the communication process. Here's why it's important. These 7 elements facilitate effective communication. Every time there is effective communication, these 7 elements are in place. You don't want to joke with them. So, what are the 7 elements that facilitate effective communication? The first one is the encoder. Who is the encoder? The encoder is the conveyor of the message. The encoder is the sender of the message, the one who owns the message. So, here's the point: you need to own your message. A lot of people have their messages, but they don't own it. To own it means to possess it. To possess you, let the message possess you just as much as you possess the message. Own the message and effectively convey the message. The encoder is an important element in the communication mix. And you are the person. I am the person right now speaking to you, so I'm the encoder. The speaker, the communicator is the encoder. There are a few qualities of the encoder that must be in place. First of all, the encoder must be confident. Confidence is vital for effective encoding. I mean, confidence convinces. Confidence is the platform for the display of charisma. The second thing that must go well for the encoder is that the encoder must be competent, must have capacity. Competence is very, very important. The third thing is the encoder must connect strongly. I told you about connection as a very important part, component of the communication process. He must know how to connect with the audience. And of course, the encoder must have credibility. By that I mean that the credibility means that he has some reputation going for him. The question going on the back of the minds of the audience is, why should you be standing there speaking to us and we are sitting down here? You've got to establish your credibility as a speaker. So the encoder is the first part of the communication process. And write that down. Have you done that? The second thing is the code. The code basically is the message. What are you talking about? The message, the sermon, the philosophy, the lesson to be taught. What are you talking about? It must be content rich. It must be organized. Organized. Organization is a very important part of communication. It must have well-researched, profound, valid, authentic. The code is vital in the communication mix. Now, the next thing, and that next thing is the decoder. The decoder is the audience, the listeners, the congregation, the student, the members, the one who is receiving the code. Now, pay attention now. The decoder is not just the one receiving the code or receiving the message. The decoder is also someone who is interpreting the message. Now, in the communication mix, the most important thing, or one of the most important elements, is the decoder. So people say, I spoke, they didn't listen to me. Your communication strategy was poor. You should speak and be particular about the audience processing properly. So the decoders are not just the ones receiving the information, the decoders are also the ones interpreting the information. Write this down in your notes. Reception and interpretation is not the same thing. So somebody can receive information and not interpret it properly, give you wrong feedback, and that doesn't make you a good communicator. When reception and interpretation aligns, you are a good communicator. So the decoder is quite important in the communication mix. Let's go to the next one. The next one is the feedback. What is the feedback? The feedback is the response or the reaction of the decoder, either in words or in deeds. And that's the goal of communication. Feedback. The quality of the feedback shows how qualitative the communication process is. Then we have 2 more, and those 2 are situation and noise. If you have a situation right now, if the decoder has a situation right now, or the encoder has a situation right now, there will be an issue. Let's assume the decoder is not feeling very good, or the encoder is not feeling very confident. It will affect the communication mix. And then finally, noise, distracting noise. So we have looked at 5 or 7 things. We've looked at the encoder, the code, the decoder, all right, feedback. We've looked at the situation and noise, and we missed one, the channel. The channel is in between the encoder, code, channel before you get to the decoder. So let's look at the channel. The channel is a platform for expression. What channel are you using? Could be the television, could be the radio, could be the microphone, but it's important that you're particular about the channel you're using when you speak.